to you. You. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. Won't you share with a friend or two? Good morning. Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning to you. And many more. And many more. And many more. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome, welcome, welcome to Daring Dialogues. I'm your host today, Shantae Charles. I want to thank, first of all, my Black Table Talk page on Facebook for hopping on over to YouTube. Thank you for coming over here to subscribe. As you know, we are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so that we have greater visibility on this platform. So I do want to thank those of you who follow me on Black Table Talk, who have followed me on IG as well, for coming over and joining us on YouTube. We hope to begin to continue to migrate people over to this platform because right now, if you look at all of the platforms in terms of what you can do on them with long form video or short form video or posting, without the threat of your post just being arbitrarily taken down or disappeared or all these different things. Yes, YouTube does have a community standard, but as of right now, YouTube is not bought and paid for by a regime that we won't name. So there is a little bit more, I would say, fairness with what is allowed on this platform. So this is one of the reasons why I am trying to move people away from my Facebook over here to YouTube, because the topics that we talk about, some of them I can't talk about them on Facebook at all, or my videos will be shut off completely. Yeah. So that's why we're over here. Um, the other thing I wanted to share is if you are a part of our our paid subscribers, we are hosting a get together where we'll be checking in with each other on Saturday, April 26th. If you want to be a part of that, you can become a paid subscriber. There are a couple ways to do that. You can subscribe on my Black Table Talk page. There's a subscriber option there. Or you can join my Patreon, patreon.com/ Daring Dialogues, all one word. Now, there is a free tier over on Patreon, but we would appreciate it if you chose a tier that was a monthly subscription. All right. But either one of those places are places that you can subscribe, where you will actually have a little bit more content that will be given to you specifically, namely my music that is coming out later this year. I'm actually finalizing the copyrights on that music, so that's why I haven't released it yet. But the music is done. The music videos are done. I've had people to preview the music videos who are a part of my personal and friend circle. They have seen them, but we're just waiting on the finalizing of the copyrights. All right, because unfortunately we have a lot of thieves in society, so I can't just go releasing stuff willy nilly, as they say. All right. It is Thinking Thursday, Theology Thursday, where we talk all things faith. We talk about belief. We talk about different belief systems, and we talk about different concepts philosophically. Today, we're going to start out with our devotion, which is coming from Daily Motivations for African American Success by Mr. Dennis Kimbrough. And we are on April 10th. And the topic is knock on wood. Now, I'm not making up these topics, okay? He's got a topic for each one of his devotionals. Johnny Mathis, the singer, said, chances are, and I'm sure this is probably a clip from one of his songs. By the close of the 1950s, most hotel beds in every room were placed against the same side of the wall. Thanks to an ancient superstition and custom, patrons are able to get up on the right side of the bed. Many people believed them, and some still do, that the gods and forces of good lived within the right side of the body, while all the forces of evil dwelt within the left side. Now, that belief carried over to anybody who was left-handed. You were seen as touched by evil of some kind, or you were seen as a bad omen. I'm left-handed, but I'm also ambidextrous. And the reason why I'm ambidextrous is because myths like this got embedded into the culture. So when my mother found out that I was left-handed, she would often try to beat me, physically beat me into using my right hand. Okay? So because of that, I am ambidextrous. I can use both hands to write. I can write backwards. I can write upside down, in cursive. I can do all kinds of interesting things because of this myth that somehow people who use their left or their left hand or were predominantly left hand, something was wrong with them. That's how myth can find its way into a culture and have a direct effect on someone or something. Just putting that out there, okay? Superstition and luck get named or blamed for life's many surprises, good or bad. But is it luck that's really in charge? Personal goals, rooted in our major purpose for living, affect our happiness much more than any run of luck. Life is led more by our expectations than luck. Though very real, luck is not what most people think. Luck is no commodity. You cannot run out of it like flour or bread. Luck is not magic. No lucky charm attracts it. Stars don't emanate it, so there are no lucky ones. Luck is not transferable. You can't catch it standing near achievers. Luck is not chance. Were this a pure chance world, the odds of you succeeding at anything would be 50-50 at best. Half the time you would succeed, the other half you would fail. Fortunately, this doesn't happen. We get to our place of work more than half the times that we start out. We don't choke on our food half of the times we eat, thank goodness. Mostly we succeed at whatever we do. Be thankful that it's not a 50-50 world. Luck is often something you make happen for yourself, and that is your edge because you got up and you moved with purpose and you moved with action. And so when people see that and they wonder, how did you do that? Well, I moved in purpose and I moved in action. How did you write 5 books? Well, the first one, I was given a spiritual unction to write, and then the writing just kept going, and it kept going, and it kept going. And then I saw a need. I saw where other people were having difficulty trying to figure out how to write their books. And so I began to help. And then I saw another need. where people who were writing books didn't know how to properly put their sentences together. And so I became an editor. And then I saw that I wanted to stay in the independent publishing route. And then I became a publisher. And then people started asking me, well, how do you do that? How do you publish your own work? How do you not wait for the traditional publisher to maybe pick you out of the millions of books that are out there? And then I started helping people set up their own publishing companies and helping people to publish their books. And that's where I am today. But it started with an action. It started with hearing the voice of God say, hey, if you have a problem with what you see in film and in script and in writing, if you have a problem with the storylines that you're reading, if you have a problem and you're saying, well, nobody's writing about the people that are doing things right, nobody's writing about the people that do love God, nobody's writing about people who aren't engaged in scandal after scandal after scandal. Well, if you got a problem with that, you write it. And that's how I got involved in the world of writing and authoring my books and publishing because I saw something, I recognized that there was a need for something, and then I did what it took to fill the need. That's it. So I often look at people who are waiting for someone. If you're waiting for someone to give you a pat on the back, you're probably going to be waiting the rest of your life. If you're waiting for somebody to give you that nudge or to give you that push, you're probably going to be waiting a very long time. Um, again, I had a initial nudge, right? Because obviously you don't want to be doing something and wasting your time in it, or you don't want to be venturing into something that you know you're not good at. I was always a writer. I've always been good at writing. I've always been good at um, editing. Those are things I've been good at. But it was taking that and crystallizing it into another format. So think about, what are you good at that you are sort of brushing off, that you're skimming over, that people tell you, you're really good at this. You should think about the other ways in which you can utilize this thing that you're very good at. The affirmation he has here is, I will make my own luck. Do you know the same thing happened with this program that we're on right now? How did I start Daring Dialogues? I started Daring Dialogues with a nudge. I like to call it a holy nudge. I was in prayer and I was thinking about some things in terms of my life, and I was thinking about some things in terms of civil rights and justice. And there was a holy nudge. Some people call it the voice of God. And that holy nudge for me was, why don't you go back and why don't you revisit some of the works of Martin Luther King? I felt that presence tell me that. And I picked up my first book. I went to the bookstore and I went to look for Martin Luther King's writings. And the first one that I looked at was, voila, look at this. It has to be right behind me. The first one I looked at was Why We Can't Wait. I picked it up and I was like, freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. Huh, why we can't wait. And then I began to read this book aloud. There was no, what do you do once you read the book aloud? It was, get online, turn on your camera, and start reading this work aloud. Start sharing this work. Because I was on a search to understand where we were and where we're going. But I started here with a read aloud. And as I began to read, I began to discuss this book. And all of a sudden, my live stream stopped. And then I got a notice from Facebook. And you know what that notice said? It said, you have been suspended from going live to read a book out loud. That's all I was doing. All I was doing was reading. What could be so wrong about that? Do you see all of the stuff that is online that people post that is highly inappropriate? I was only reading a book. Well, I didn't know how dangerous it was to read books that unlocked thoughts, that changed minds until I got banned, not just one day. I was banned from going live on Facebook for 18 months. Now, sit with that. All I did was pick up this book and start reading aloud. And that, my friends, is what unlocked the light bulb in my brain to say reading in and of itself is a dangerous thing to people who don't want you to know, to people who don't want you to appreciate the power of learning and of knowledge. I was banned from their live, from going live and reading this book for 18 months. Now, the initial videos that I did of these books are still up on Facebook. You can look up them. You can look it up under the hashtag Why We Can't Wait, and you'll see my videos all the way back from 2016 when I was just reading out loud. So the evidence is there. Oh, wait, no, never mind. They're about to erase all that evidence in 90 days. However, I was able during that time to download those videos, and guess what? You can find the playlist right here on YouTube. The playlist is MLK, and you can see my videos from back in 2016 when I was reading this aloud. Well, after I got banned, I got super fired up. I was like, wait a minute. How are you going to ban me from just reading a book? So I kept going. And I read this one out loud. Where do we go from here? Chaos or community? And guess what? MLK gave us, he gave us so many blueprints on what we should be doing that people still are not doing. Okay? He left a blueprint. This is if you want to know what a prophetic word is, this book is a prophetic word to Black people to say, the fight is not over. You've got a ways to go. Here's how we did it. Here's what you need to do in the future. And believe it or not, a lot of things he warned about in here are happening now. A lot of strategy that he gave in here is not happening now. So if you want to look at a framework of where are we, look at this. I just happened to flip to this. He says, more and more competition will develop among white political forces for such a significant block of votes, and a monolithic white unity based on racism will no longer be possible. Okay, I just flipped to it. He's telling you that you've got to get the votes into blocks so that this monolithic white unity that has been painted as the end all be all in our society that's based on racism will no longer be possible. But have people done that? Or have they allowed them to gerrymander to the point where they are winning races they never should be winning? Martin Luther King warned us of this. Look at this. Somebody quote this today. He said, white supremacy, I want you to see it's in there. White supremacy can feed their ego, but not their stomach. Hello, 2025. And that's just me opening the book and flipping, okay? The whole book is like that. The whole book is like that. So if you want to understand where we are politically, what we're up against politically, how to fight against it, get those books and read them. That was my primer into understanding the fight that we are in. Martin Luther King. All right. So that's why a lot of times people say, if you have not read King's work, we can't really have a conversation. People who have read King's work are having a little bit of a different conversation about where we are right now, because he left behind some important blueprints for all of us. All right. Now I know I've gone 21 minutes, but for some reason I felt the urge and the nudge to talk to you about that. The second thing I want to talk about is last night, um, Facebook again started disappearing my posts. They started disappearing long, lengthy posts that I had written and typed out, and then I would hit submit, and then the whole post would disappear. I tried to put up a video initially and hit send, and the video disappeared. Now, they might appear later today on my page. Some of the posts I had to rewrite and I had to redo. But as I was doing that and I put up the post letting people know what was happening, someone came on my page and said, well, this is what happens when you disrespect God. And I was like, what? This is what happens when you disrespect God. And I said, whose God and what God? Because we don't disrespect the Creator. So I tried to give the person an opportunity to explain what they meant, because you don't just put random stuff on people's posts like that. Come on, you don't do that, do you? And the person went on to say, well, there's only one God. I said, okay, so clearly we're not going to get anywhere, because you wanted to say that we're disrespecting God over here. And then when I asked you, whose God are we disrespecting? You wanted to just tell me there's only one God. Well, you still didn't tell me what God you're talking about. So it's a block. That's how we do that. It's 2025, people. We're not going to be going back and forth with people about who their God is, what their God is, what they believe, and why. I will tell you this. The God that I serve always answers for me. That's all you need to know. If you ever have a question about me, I promise you, if you ask your creator about me, your creator will tell you who I am. They will. I've had atheists tell me, hey, I got a visit about you. I don't even believe in God, but I got a visit. I know, because the creator I serve will tell you who I am. So I don't go around trying to explain to people or defend who I am. I know who I am, and my creator knows who I am. That's it. I wish everybody had that confidence in themselves, that you didn't have to go around trying to prove who you are or whose you are or how spiritual you are or how deep you are or whatever. You just existed. You sat in your belief. You were confident in it. You knew who you trusted. You knew who you served. And nobody could shake you from that. I wish everybody had that, but everybody doesn't. But I'm just going to tell you now, I'm not here to press my faith or my belief onto you. That's not what my creator told me to do with this platform. He said, get up here and read. Read. That's it. Read. Read the books. Inspire people. Help people to unlock something about themselves. That's it. Now, if you're interested in what I believe, that's a different conversation. But that's not what I'm here to do Monday through Friday. It's not. This is my mantra for this has been my mantra since about 2015. Trust God and chill. Why? Because people are people. Humans are gonna human. Bottom line. People are built to surprise you. That's another thing that the creator told me. He was like, calm down, girl, calm down. People are built to surprise you. They surprise the creator all the time. Why? Because we have free will. And so even the creator's greatest plans for us run up against human free will. And he gets surprised. She gets surprised. They get surprised. However you say it. They get surprised by us. So if the creator is surprised by humans in our enacting of our free will, what makes you think you're not going to be surprised? So I have learned, okay, just calm down. Yes, they did something shocking. Yes, they did something surprising. Yes, they did something I never thought they would do, but humans are built. People are built to surprise you. And once I learned that, I stopped being as surprised. I won't say I'm still not surprised at some of the things people do, but I stopped being as surprised. The other thing he told me, humans are going to human. Love them anyway. I was like, what you mean? What you mean? Love them anyway. Exactly what he said. Love them anyway. That's it. Oh, what the world would be if we took on a mantra of love rather than a mantra of hating everybody who's not like you. How different would the world look if we looked at somebody who had nothing in common with us and said, you know what? I think there's something there to love. Let me look for that. Rather than, they look different from me. Let me find something to hate. Let me find something to hate about them. Let me find something to dislike about them. Unfortunately, that's the way a lot of people operate their life. They look at the difference and they decide that that difference is something that should be hated and not something that should be appreciated or loved. So, those two things have helped me in my relationship with other people. The last thing, because humans are going to human, I started pulling back from all of the lenses that I was trying to see people through. And I said to myself, if humans are going to human, then maybe I just need to step back and I need to look at people through the lens of just being human beings. Totally helped me. Totally helped me. Because at the end of the day, you are human and I am human. And both of us, all of us, have a right to exist. That's it. So, again, whether I agree with you or not, whether I like that you dyed your hair green today and blue tomorrow and purple next week, it makes no difference. Are you human? Yes. Check the box. Are you human? Yes. Do you deserve the right to exist? Yes. That's what it boils down to. And that's what this man was trying to tell people. And he got unalive for that message. He got unalive for saying, we are all in this brotherhood of humanity together. He got unalive for saying, because we are in this brotherhood of humanity together, why aren't we making it so the existence of humanity is not one of continual suffering and agony and discrimination and unhoused existence, an existence of living below the poverty line? He got into a message about humanity, and they said, oh, we can't have this because we got to keep humanity divided by isms and schisms. He's talking about the brotherhood of humanity. He's talking about humanhood. He's talking about personhood. He's talking about universal citizenship. He's talking about everybody being seen as equals. That doesn't go with the plan of oppression. You see, in oppression, you can't view each other as equals. In capitalism, you can't view each other as equals. You get it now? Somebody has to be on the bottom. Somebody has to be in a hierarchy. Somebody has to be in an underclass, a permanent underclass or a subclass in order for those systems to exist. So we can't have people going around here talking about humanity and we are family and I got all my sisters with me. We can't have that. We have to destroy, distort, discredit messages about our common humanity and our common good. Clearly, I'm not going to get to this other book today. So we'll pick up with it on next Thursday because I think I said what I needed to say today. Next week, we will continue this book, Failures of Forgiveness, Dr. Maisha Cherry, What We Get Wrong and How to Do Better. Today, I guess, was dedicated to how I got into this in the first place. So, if you're new here, I hope that I've said something today that would explain to you why I do this in the first place. I do not get paid for this time. I don't have sponsorships. George Soros is not sponsoring my broadcast. Neither is Tesla or anybody else. I'm here because I want to be. That's all. All right. So I'll tell you who is sponsoring this. The people that listen, the people that subscribe. And guess what? Those subscriptions go back to the people as mutual aid. All right. So I want to thank you for your time and attention. I am going to bring Pastor Ben on because Pastor Ben has been here since the beginning of these broadcasts. He has seen the evolution of what we've done. And I know he has some things to say about Martin Luther King and unity and all those good things. So, Pastor Ben, I am going to can get you in here. All right, if you have been watching and listening, and you have some questions for me while we wait for Pastor Ben to see if he can connect, you can put those down in the chat. If you've been subscribed 10 minutes or longer, you should be able to send me a message in the chat. All right. Ooh, we have had a smoother connection this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. First try. Woo!
Yeah.
All right, talk to me. Tell me what your thoughts are, because I wasn't intending to go this way this morning, but you tell me what your thoughts are.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I remember going through Periscope and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, went to Instagram.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Pastor Ben has been traveling with me on these platforms because again, once I got suspended from Facebook, I went to Periscope, and
Hmm.
then Periscope was bought out by Twitter at the time, and they integrated their platform into Twitter. And so I was not trying to be on Twitter in video form. So I went, and I think that was a good move considering who bought it now. And so I went back to Facebook, and they were finally like, yeah, you can come back on. But that was, like I said, it was 18 months that I was not able to go live there when everybody else was going live and building their audience and all of those things. And so I went back over there, and I also started going live on Instagram. Now, Pastor Ben and even Lady Shantae could probably attest to this, that even though I was on Instagram, they were only allowing like 9 to 10 people to see my videos every day. And I was on
Hmm.
Instagram, what, 2, 3 years. So there are videos over there on my Instagram at Daring Dialogues of the same platform where we are reading and we're talking and we're discussing. And so now we're on YouTube, and I'm hoping that YouTube will be a more permanent home for what it is that we do here. Um, because I don't think people really understand how hard it is to get a certain kind of content out to people. If I were twerking, right? Or if I were doing cooking videos, or if I were doing exercise videos, in sweatpants with my butt in the camera. I work out, but that's not the kind of videos that I want to do. If I were doing a certain kind of video, I would get the audience and the viewership because these algorithms push out certain content to you. That's why you only see certain kinds of content on the regular basis. They don't push out this kind of content. Content where you're just reading aloud and people are listening and having a discussion about things that are happening right now in our world that are affecting us in real time. They don't push out independent content like this. I would have
Right.
to go on CBS or NBC or CNN or something like that. They would push that out to you because that's what's called legacy media. But this kind of content where we're just reading and we're reading directly from books and we're asking you to read along or read through your app and discuss, this is not the kind of content that is regularly pushed out. So, with that
Hmm.
being said, we need your help. If you appreciate the words that are spoken here, if you are excited about the books that we've been choosing and you've been reading and you've been being enlightened, share this video with someone and say, hey, come on over and subscribe. We're not asking for a million subscribers. We're just trying to get to 1,000 because we know that that is the threshold for YouTube to begin to push your content forward farther than where it is now. So YouTube's threshold is 1,000 subscribers. We are almost nearing that point. We just need about maybe 200 more people to come join us. And then we will be able to be pushed up in the algorithm, and more people will get a chance to read along with us and discuss. Pastor
Hmm.
Ben?
Yeah. Thinking back, there was a certain person in president in office when all this stuff started happening.
Hmm.
Like when Facebook put you in jail for 18 months.
Hmm.
But listen. Somebody once says, a wise guy that I know once said, reading funds your mentality. They don't want you to be funded mentally, and
Hmm.
they're proving it. Why? Because they're attacking education.
Hmm.
When a government attacks go back to Hitler. See, think about that. He attacked education.
Hmm.
See, he attacked reading. He don't want you to have.
Education, education, you're right. Education, science, and history.
Hmm.
They got rid of the educators, the philosophers, the scientists, the historians, and the artists.
Hmm.
I was teaching the other day. And for those of you who all don't know, my main profession is in writing, publishing, and education. I was teaching the other day about one particular art movement, the Bauhaus movement. And in that movement, they were they were sort of what they call avant-garde. They were kind of like the next up and coming artists and creatives. And they have this whole community of artists that was like multidisciplinary. It was visual artists, it was people into drama, it was people into like designing furniture. There were people who were designing architecture. And guess what they did? Because that group was so innovative where they were, that regime shut their whole thing down. That's how their art movement ended. It ended by the soldiers of that regime coming and closing down what they had going on as artists. Now, some of their work lives on into the present, like there are artists and stuff that are still influenced by it. But as they shut it down, they sent some of those people had to leave the country, and the ones that were citizens, they sent them into the war. So can you imagine that? They shut down a whole artistic movement of innovation and sent them to a war to go be unalived
Hmm.
for the cause of genocide, essentially. That's
Hmm.
how that art movement disappeared. That's how it got shut down. It got shut down literally like how our country is trying to shut down the Department of Education.
Hmm.
And so when we look back at this time, people will say, well, what happened to America? What happened to the brilliance? What happened to the innovation? Oh, they sent the innovators back to their own countries.
Hmm.
They had the H1N1 visa, for these bright minds to come over here and help America innovate. But no, they sent them back to their countries. Well, why is it that America has regressed? Why is it that their population is struggling to write, struggling to read, struggling to understand, struggling to comprehend? People will be able to point back to this time when our government decided to dismantle the Department of Education, to put it
Hmm.
back into the quote unquote state's hands. Well, what does that mean? What was happening in the states with education that made our federal government have to get involved in the first place? Well, in states' hands, everybody wasn't being educated. Not
Hmm.
just not just black people weren't being educated fairly because black people they were forming their own schools. They had their own teachers. But the main people who were not being educated at the states level? Poor white people. So when you say, I want to dismantle the Department of Education, what you're saying is essentially, I want poor white people to no longer get an education. And this person has already told us why. Because
Hmm.
I love uneducated, poor white people.
Hmm.
So, yeah, In his mind, it would make sense to dismantle the thing that helps poor white people get an education.
Mhm.
Again,
Yep.
people keep looking at us, thinking that they're harming us primarily, when that is not what's going on. We're not the primary target that's going to be harmed. As much as people would like to think that, we're just not going to be the primary target. We're not the primary target. And so when people start waking up to that, which some of them are now, wait a minute. You have to realize that Black people have really been locked out of American economics for
Mhm.
decades.
Mhm.
Black people have been making their way because they've had to.
Mhm.
Black people have been locked out of the housing market. Black people have been locked out of corporate America. Black people have been locked out.
Mhm.
And so when you say to us, oh, we're closing the doors, we're shutting down the things that we locked you out of anyway,
Mhm.
this is why Black people can go and learn line dances. Because the reality is majority of Black people have been locked out of these systems.
Mhm.
That's the point. We've been locked out. So now you are actually experiencing the lockout, literally locked out of your office, return your keys, your badge doesn't work. You're experiencing what Black people have been trying to tell you this whole time, that we have been locked out. But because you have been let in, you thought Black people were just imagining it. You thought Black people were just making it up. You thought Black people were just exaggerating about how much we have been locked out of in this country, that we've had to skirt around, that we had to make a way out of no way for ourselves, that we've had to create our own jobs. We've had to create our own ways of making income. And I'm not talking illegally, okay? We've had to create our own because we've been locked out. So now that you are experiencing the lockout that Black people have been telling you about for decades, now you want to get in the streets. Now it's a problem.
Mhm.
See, we were getting told, well, that's just the way things are. You know, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. That's just the way life is. You got to take the punches. I know I've heard it. I've been told that several times.
Mhm.
You're just not working hard enough. But these people who have been working all their lives, what do you tell them now
They're
that
not
they're
working
locked out?
hard enough. They're not working hard enough.
What do you tell them now that they're locked out? Now that they're getting pink slips and being told that their performance was not up to par, what do you tell them? Surprise, surprise. We told you these people are arbitrarily making life hard for Black people. You didn't believe us. Now that they're arbitrarily making your life hard, now you see the light. But I want you to understand that this time in history is being used by our Creator to let you know that Black people were telling you what it was the entire time.
Mhm.
So, if you were wise, you would probably do something like apologize You could probably start there.
Yeah.
You could probably start with an apology. Black people, we did not believe you, and we're sorry. We didn't believe you when you told us that you were being arbitrarily singled out and released.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's happening to us.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't believe you when you told us they were using random metrics to take your economic power from you. But now it's happening to us. We see it now. We didn't believe you when you told us about the rampant bigotry, the coded way in which they denied you services. They didn't just say, we don't want N words here. They put in all the criteria that would single you all out and remove you. We didn't believe that that was what was going on, but now we see it because it's happening to us.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And until they are ready to come to that level of honesty, that what hurts them the most is that they're being treated like the N word.
Mm-hmm.
Until we come to that level of honesty, we're going to see a whole bunch of other stuff roll out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Unfortunately,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
unfortunately. And so, as Kendrick Lamar said, people think it's just a song, but it really has been the anthem of Black people's experience in America.
Mm-hmm.
We gonna be all right. That's
Yeah.
been the anthem of Black people's experience in America.
Mm-hmm.
All
Over
my life,
400 years.
all my life, I've had to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's been some joy mixed in with the fight. Yes, there's been joy. We've created joy even amongst the fight, but really, all our life we've had to fight. The generation directly before me has had to fight. My mother's generation had to fight. My grandmother's generation had to fight. My great grandmother was a sharecropper, and my maternal great grandmother and great grandfather, they were enslaved, sharecropping, and bought the land. But all our life, we've had to fight. And I told someone the other day, I said, I show people the post that I posted on Black Table Talk about what happened with the Holocaust. I post that because people more readily identify with the German Holocaust than they
Mm-hmm.
more readily identify with Black America's Holocaust. But the reality is, we have been going through a generational genocide, meaning it has yet to stop. Since we've come upon these shores, generation after generation has dealt with genocidal tactics since we've come to these
Mm-hmm.
shores. So there hasn't been a break for us in understanding that these people only want to use us as a non human entity. They only want the goods and services that they can get out of us. And outside of that, to them, we are of no service and we are of no use and we are of no worth. That has been something that generationally we've had to understand in order to survive. In order to survive, I need to understand how I feel about myself, what I know about myself from my creator. but I also need to understand how these people see me. And I don't need to forget that, because when you forget it, guess what? They'll be right back around every 40 years to remind you that this is how
Mhm.
we see you. This is what we see your value as. So somebody said, well, why do we have to talk about this all the time? It's called know your enemy so you can
Yeah.
avoid their traps.
Mhm.
And here's the thing.
Yeah.
We haven't made them our enemy. You
Mm-mm.
became an enemy when you decided to see me as anything other than what the creator has ordained for me to be.
Mhm.
You gave yourself that role. We didn't give you that role. We didn't see them as enemies, but they saw us as enemies. And so you put yourself in that role because you decided that we're not human like you. We didn't dehumanize them. They chose to dehumanize us.
Mhm.
And as Dr. Stacy Patton said, who's been doing research on this now for I think about 2 years, she said that dehumanization came from their initial dehumanizing of each other. They were doing it to each other back in Europe before they ever added us into the equation. Final thoughts. I'm going to
Mhm.
give you the floor because I know I've been talking, talking, talking.
Well, now I want to leave with a couple of things, but you just mentioned Stacy Patton. I'm trying to figure out why people keep coming at her, knowing how she clapped back. See, she make you can literally make you disappear in a nice way though. In a very intellectual way, she can make you disappear, make you feel so small. But they keep coming after her. I don't. That shows you that they're intellectually challenged. Because all you got to do is hit me one good time, and I ain't messing with you. But it's like they want that
Mhm.
punishment. They want the
I call it
punishment.
self. I call it
So
self-flagellation with words. Um,
yeah.
yeah. Dr. Stacy Patton, if you don't know who she is, just go look her up. Dr. Stacy Patton, Stacy with an E, Stacey Patton. Um, her wordsmithing is
Oh.
next level. People keep asking her to teach a master class on her wordsmithing. I told my husband, I said, now I'm not as good as Stacy Patton, but outside of Christ, I used to eviscerate people like that. I used to eviscerate people to the point where they would want to fight me, and I hadn't used not one cuss word. But I let you have it verbally to the point where you wanted to run up and attack me. I don't do that to people anymore
Hmm.
because I'm in Christ. I don't do that to people anymore. I don't. I struggle to not do it though. I'm gonna be
Oh.
honest. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh.
Um, Sometimes I struggle to not do it, but I don't do that to people anymore. I try to be kind, and if I can't be
Well, she,
kind, I do use the block button because sometimes people make themselves a very easy target. Um,
hmm
with what they say, but I don't do that to people. But I will. But Dr. Stacy Patton is not a Christian. And so she does not care.
mm,
I'm gonna just say it that way.
mm.
If you come at her disrespectfully, she is going to give you the business. So
Yeah.
um, people have not figured that out yet. As you said, they keep coming. And they haven't learned from all of the other the verbal TKOs that have been dished
Hmm.
out and delivered. But yeah, that for me, that was a part of my spiritual practice and discipline to watch my mouth both out loud and with the pen. I keep trying to
Hmm.
tell people the pen is mightier than the sword. somebody can use their pen and eviscerate you, like you said, without firing a shot. And
Mm-hmm.
she is one of those people who is masterful with the pen. But yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Final thoughts.
Okay, now my other thing, well, no, well, you talk about the block. You know, I'm the master of it. I actually had to delete somebody, unfriend them. Somebody I've been friends with a long time. Matter of fact, they were on Dr. Larry Hill's call-in thing.
Okay.
So you can know the person. You know them. You've had some conversations with them. Matter of fact, I'll send you the conversation. But this was about um, what is? I'm trying to think of the church. Church of Christ. What is the man? The name of the organization. But anyway, the guy, you probably saw the video. The guy was talking about the African American
Oh,
the
museum. Yeah.
museum thing
Uh-huh.
yeah, okay. And she come up because I reposted it. She come up, well, if melanated people did things on their own without trying to get government assistance, and I'm like, oh, so apparently you either ignored the whole video or you only saw what you and heard what you wanted to hear. I said
Mm-hmm.
because he started off saying that it was actually started and built by black folks funding it. The
Mm-hmm.
government decided they wanted to add some funds. I say, so no, we ain't gonna miss those funds. Why? Because this organization is gonna be donate money, and now a lot of other black organizations and black people, period, are going to be donating money.
Mm-hmm.
I said it was their funding that kept it. They could just shut it down,
Right.
but they can't do that because they were not funding it. They
Right.
were giving some funds. I said, learn the difference. And so that lets me know that this person, I've concluded this person has MAGA brain.
Oh, okay.
See, I don't deal with MAGA brain. See, I've been trying to give it the benefit of the doubt. I saw it, but I'm like, okay, I've been knowing it for so long, maybe there's a chance. But when a person get the deep MAGA brain, you just need to just separate from them and just let them go ahead and hit rock. Don't try to save them because you ain't gonna do it. They're gonna have to run up against an iron wall themselves
Mm,
before they wake up because you're not gonna be able to tell them anything. So that's two
mm,
that's got MAGA that I had to let go. You can still back this man seeing. And I told her, I said, if you can't see that he's attacking everything black, because she told me I was blind. I said, if you can't see that he's attacking everything black, then you're the one that's blind.
mm-hmm.
See, so people, save yourself some aggravation. And if you come across somebody with MAGA brain, delete them.
Yeah, I
Seriously.
mean, I still have people, believe it or not, I still have black conservatives that are on my friends list. They don't ever come into my space with the foolishness because they
Mm-hmm.
know good and well they will be blocked immediately. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but some of them are still sharing stuff as if this is a legitimate leader. I'm like, this person who is in charge of everything right now is literally breaking every possible rule of law from
Mm-hmm.
every angle. That's why they call it, what do they call it? The shock and awe, like a blitzkrieg, a shock and awe. I'm like, this person is literally actually breaking stuff and just seeing if he can get away with it, or to see if the judiciary is going
Mm-hmm.
to respond, or to see if the legislature branch is going to push back against him or not. He's literally just going around and breaking laws. Like, if there was
Mm-hmm.
if there was a picture of lawlessness, if there was a picture in the dictionary for lawlessness, the vocabulary word,
It's him.
his
Mm-hmm.
picture would be right next to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're seeing. And
Mm-hmm.
so because that is at the top of our government, you have a trickle down effect of people thinking that they can be as lawless as he is.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is, the last time he was lawless, he didn't get in trouble for his lawlessness. Everyone who assisted and aided and abetted him did. They all went
Mm-hmm.
to jail.
And people
Now
still haven't learned from that.
you would think that people in this current administration would have learned from that they all went to jail. Yes, some of them eventually got out, but they went to jail. So I'm just like, the immunity, the sort of blanket immunity he's being afforded right now, because it's technically not a blanket, the initial immunity he's being afforded right now doesn't mean that the people who are aiding and abetting him are going to get that same immunity.
Mm-mm.
And so it's like you're running around all big and bad and tough because he's giving you the power to break laws, but he's got immunity. What have you got? At the end of this, what have you got? And what are you going to be on trial for? Like, I don't know. I think it's very strange that these people think that they have the same immunity that he has. He doesn't. They don't. But you made a good point. You made a good point. Um, my thing is, don't engage when you see people have devolved into the cult mindset. Don't engage it, because you're not going to win an argument with someone who is um, bought into that. It's not about an argument with them. It's about a culture. It's about a
Mm-hmm.
culture. When you see people talking about he's going to save us, that's moved out of the political realm to the belief realm.
Mm-hmm.
And unless something comes to hit them with a reality and shake that belief, it's going to be hard to have a conversation with a person that he has made it from the political, what is he doing politically, to he's going to save us. That's two different things. A person who's looking at his
Mm-hmm.
political record, you can maybe have a conversation with them and say, okay, this is what you believe about his political record, but here's what he actually did. Here's what happened. A person who's talking about he gonna save us and he brought Jesus back to the White House, honey.
Antichrist.
um, that belief, unless something happens, that belief is not going to be shaken. So just keep that in mind when you're having conversations around this. Is this person um, looking at political records, or is this person thinking that he is their savior, that he is bringing God back to America? That's two different mindsets. One, you can reason with policies and show them. The other one, he's in the realm of belief with them, so he can do
Mm-hmm.
no wrong, especially if they have connected him to Jesus and thinking that
Mm-hmm.
Jesus sent
Yeah.
him. In their
Yeah.
mind, he can do no wrong. They're going to continue to rationalize what he is doing. So, as Pastor Ben said, pick your battles. Pick your battles. We're going to stop here. I know we're over time. This has been another episode of Daring Dialogues. I've been your host today, Shantae Charles. I want to thank you for your time and your attention. Thank you for allowing me to share today. Thank you for allowing me to get off topic, but still be on topic. And remember, light is the most daring opposition to darkness. So continue to go out and be light. Do something for someone today that they can't pay you back for. Work on that. Be light today. Be kind today. Be compassionate today. Light is the most daring opposition to darkness. So be what, Pastor Ben?
Light.
Take care, be well, and most importantly, be light.